war has only, in my view, gotten worse under Donald Trump. I mean, there's no end in sight in the Middle East. He said he'd end Ukraine in 24 hours. We're now on day 175 of his presidency. There is no conclusion. And he's still obviously doing everything he did in the Middle East from beforehand, drone strikes and whatnot. So I think he's back down on virtually every major promise he made. Look at his approval ratings. They're in the 30s. And I just, it's funny to sit here because during Biden's presidency, look at Biden's poll numbers. Now we're in the same situation with Trump. He's in low 40s, high 30s in terms of approval rating. MAGA's turning on him with the whole Epstein thing. They're kind of more unified now, I think, than the beginning. But nonetheless, he's lost a lot of support, a lot of respect. I think politics isn't meant to be fun, but I think it's the most fun, most entertaining part of politics for me.
Okay, guys, got him back on the show. Audience favorite.
Audience favorite, huh?
Yeah, you got some interesting comments on the last one.
Were they positive or negative?
I mean, my audience is mainly conservative, so
I see,
you can make the assumption on that.
I can imagine what they were. Yeah.
But no, I love how you stand your ground. I respect that.
I appreciate. Yeah, I mean, I think obviously I'm very opinionated online, and if a conservative wants to debate, I'm happy to do that, but I'm not going to be like, oh, you're right, or shy away. I got to stand your ground on these things. And I think they're important issues that we talk about. So
I mean, you're debating 6 hours a day on average? It's crazy.
Sometimes. I mean, I think since the election, I've reduced my debate time pretty substantially over a month-long period. But I still love debating. I still love getting into it. I think it's politics isn't meant to be fun, but I think it's the most fun, most entertaining part of politics for me.
Yeah.
So I don't know, but it's fun. It's all right.
I feel like there's a momentum shift towards the left right now with how Trump's been doing. I'm gonna be honest, I'm on the right, that, but I think he's losing some people.
Oh, dude, look at his approval ratings. They're in the 30s, and I just, it's funny to sit here because during Biden's presidency, I'm sure you paid attention to the polls and you saw that Biden's approval rating wasn't great.
Near the end, yeah.
Yeah, and Republicans would say, well, look at Biden's poll numbers, and now we're in the same situation with Trump. He's in low 40s, high 30s in terms of approval rating. MAGA's turning on him with the whole Epstein thing. They're kind of more unified now, I think, than the beginning. But nonetheless, he's lost a lot of support, a lot of respect. I mean, even from folks like yourself, who lean more conservative. And he's kind of doing it to himself. It's not. I would argue that a lot of the things that hurt Biden's presidency were out of his control, right? Like October 7th with Israel or Ukraine, Russian invaded. Like, the president can't control that stuff, whereas Donald Trump, he could release the Epstein files right now. He's choosing not to,
You think they even exist, honestly?
Yeah, 100%. We got reports that the FBI combed through over 100,000 documents related to Epstein. They specifically redacted Donald Trump's name, were instructed to redact Donald Trump's name. And I know there's some great independent journalists right now who are working to get the instruction videos on how to redact Trump's name. Like the DOJ, the FBI, they sent it out to all the agents who were going through these documents. It's like instruction video. And so we're trying to get that. But yeah, I think the documents exist, and I think he's implicated in some way.
You saw they subpoenaed was it the Clintons last week?
Yeah.
What was that about? Was that for the Epstein stuff?
Yeah, it's Epstein stuff. It's just political theater. I think the Republicans are doing that to try to shift the focus from Trump to Democrats to make it seem as if Bill Clinton was better friends with Epstein. The entire Democratic Party position on this is that if Bill Clinton did something bad with Epstein, arrest, I don't care, hold him accountable, right? Yeah. And that applies to Republicans as well, of course. The Republicans have a different perspective. They want to blame the Democrats for this and not hold Trump accountable. I just think we have to have equal rule of law. For some reason, they're not on the same page. I don't know.
Where would you rank Trump's current term, A through F, right now? First 150-ish days.
Can I go Z? Fuck. I mean, it's awful. It's awful. I don't think there's been, in terms of major, and I'm sure Trump has done some individual good things. I think there was a deep fake AI explicit video bill where, if a celebrity or anybody for that matter, they find themselves on a adult website and they've been deep faked, then they can request the website to take it down. They have to do so within, I believe, 42 to 78 hours, whatever it might be. And I think that's good. That's great.
Yeah, that's an issue for someone like you, I bet, too.
Yeah, I think it's an issue for anybody kind of making content. So I'm okay with that. But anything major, in terms of policy or even foreign policy, I think has been disastrous.
Yeah, he's going to meet with Putin this week.
Dude, he's going to get dog walked. Donald Trump, throughout his entire career in politics, has been manipulated by our adversaries to do what they want. I mean, it reminds me back in 2017 in the Oval Office, Donald Trump shared classified information with Russian officials. This was reported on by the Washington Post. And that 2018, I think it was 2018 or maybe 2019 meeting he had in Helsinki, where he sided with Putin over American intelligence regarding their interference in the election. And there were Republican senators who were baffled by that because, like, why is an American siding with Putin? And just throughout, I can give you so many other examples. But, you know, Putin was in the KGB. He's known as a master manipulator. And Donald Trump is going into that meeting either alone or with people who have no foreign policy experience. So I'm not hopeful for that meeting with Putin on Friday.
What did you think of Tulsi exposing Russiagate, I guess, saying that Obama planned that and that Trump actually wasn't talking with Russia? Did you see that?
Oh, I did see that. Yeah, I mean, it's all a distraction from the Epstein files. The awful thing about what Tulsi Gabbard has done is she's just completely she's framed the story incorrectly. She's misrepresented, strawmanned the Democratic position, which is the claim has never been that Donald Trump like spoke with Putin on the phone and was like, "Hey, I need you to switch ballots" or anything like that. The claim was, and still is, via the intelligence community, the FBI, the DOJ, a bipartisan group of senators, which, by the way, Marco Rubio, his current Secretary of State, was on. They conducted this investigation. They all came to the conclusion that Russia interfered in the election via like social media, via hacking the DNC and releasing emails connected to Clinton, via even faking emails, making it seem that like Hillary Clinton approved a plan to tie Trump to Putin. It just came out that those emails were fake and everybody thought they were real. Yeah. So no, it's just it's so obvious that that story, that misframing of what the intelligence community has been claiming is to distract away from the Epstein files, and I would argue that it really badly failed. I think people are still focused on Epstein.
I'll be honest, if they don't release some sort of info on that, I don't think they'll win 28.
Really?
I think it's that bad, dude.
Really?
People on the right really care.
I mean, you talk to people, I think, on the right in the content creation space, certainly more than I do. Is that the vibe that you're getting?
Yeah. I'd say half of them are pissed, dude.
Wow.
Like, they're like really, because I was just at Charlie Kirk's event and I interviewed 30 people. I would say about half of them are really upset that they're not being released.
Are these content creators or just like
content creators?
Wow.
Yeah.
15 of them are angry. Yeah, dude, I think, and you're seeing it in the numbers as well. I think his approval rating has taken a big hit, not from the Democrats still hate him.
Yeah.
But the Republicans are, you know, I think rightly questioning why this guy is being so cagey about this. Why is he not being transparent whatsoever about these documents? What is he hiding? Why they redact his name? It's just like a lot of questions. And I'd say before this whole thing with Epstein, I was never even big on this story. Yeah. I was just, you know, okay, the guy did awful things. He killed himself. Ghislaine Maxwell's in prison. I mean, if there were more to this story, I think the DOJ or the FBI would have told us. But now with the way that Donald Trump is handling this, and the way that more documents have become accessible because Ghislaine Maxwell's trial has finished,
right?
It's really weird. And I think you don't have to be a conspiracy theorist to, you know, be there at that position.
And that's the infuriating part of people, is because he spoke a big game beforehand. He's like, I'm going to release this. I'm going to stop all these wars. And I think if he didn't say any of that, he could have done whatever.
Yeah, I mean, I think if he didn't say any of that, he could just not focus on the Epstein story whatsoever. There'd be like a small faction on the internet asking him to do it. But for the most part, it wouldn't be mainstream political discourse. He himself put that out there. He was the one that in Fox News interviews said, "Oh yeah, totally. I'm going to declassify everything. I want you guys to see everything."
Yep.
And then completely flips. And you're right on the wars. War has only, in my view, gotten worse under Donald Trump. I mean, there's no end in sight in the Middle East. He said he'd end Ukraine in 24 hours. We're now on like day 175 of his presidency. There is no conclusion. And he's still obviously doing everything he did in the Middle East from beforehand, drone strikes and whatnot. So no, I think he's back down on virtually every major promise he made.
It's pretty nuts. And meanwhile he's battling Newsom on Twitter.
Dude, I love Gavin Newsom. I know that's like a hot take. I think a lot of conservatives, right-leaning people don't, but I love the way that Newsom's just giving him the same energy back. Have you seen on the past couple of days, he's like tweeting like Trump now?
Yeah, he filed something, right?
Yeah, it's so funny, dude. No, I think Gavin Newsom, with everything he's doing to combat Trump, is, I would argue, one of the front runners for Democrats.
Yeah, I've never seen someone stand up the way he has. I'll say that.
Yeah, I mean, I think there are very few Democrats doing what he's doing, which is surprising and disappointing. You'd think that a lot of Democrats would view this moment as a time to really stand up, and like, even if you want to do it from a personal brand standpoint, you know, increase your political capital. But a lot of them aren't doing it, or at least they're not doing it in a way that's resonating with people. And
they're scared, I think, right?
Yeah, I think a lot of people are scared. Which is kind of terrifying, you know, in America. Whether you're a Democrat, Republican, you shouldn't be nervous to stand up to the president of the United States. And I think, you know, people who watch your show, you and whatnot, are probably disagree with Biden, but I don't think that anybody was nervous about criticizing Biden during his presidency, you know?
I'll say on the vaccine stuff, yes,
vaccine
and
stuff.
the what was the other thing that was it J6 you couldn't talk about without getting banned or something?
Yeah, I mean, maybe that, but that's a social media platform
Right,
thing.
right.
I don't think that there was nothing the Biden administration did to combat or attack people for criticizing vaccines or talking about January 6th. This was like a platform thing. I'm also not super familiar with
I think
platforms
there
banning
was a
people.
leak that they called Facebook or something and said start censoring certain
Oh
posts.
yeah, so that is that's something that the government actually does quite often. It's not like a demand, it's more of a request.
Oh,
So
really?
even during the Trump administration the first time, they reached out to social media companies a number of times and said, "Hey, this XY piece of information about COVID or whatever it might be, we believe is harmful, just putting it on your radar."
Okay, okay.
And Facebook or whatever platform it is, they can delete it if they want, but there's no pressure from the government. Like the government can't force them to do that. Right?
Interesting. So it's more like a guidance.
Yeah, I mean, I don't personally. I think it's perfectly fine to disagree with me, but I don't have a problem with that. If this board of experts at the CDC or whatever it is, and saying, hey, this misinformation is really hampering our effort to save lives, I have no problem with the government reaching out and saying, hey, Facebook, Instagram, we just want to let you know that we have intel or we've gathered something that indicates that a lot of this misinformation is coming from your platform. I have no problem with them saying, do you want to, like, I don't know, tackle this in some way? But I know some people do. They think it's government overreach, and I think it's fair to disagree on
Yeah.
that.
So you don't think it's overreach if they're like kind of guiding them, but if they actually do it themselves, then I would consider that overreach.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have any problem with guidance. I understand that, especially as digital and the digital space grows, there's this like very fine line between what's the public sphere and what's not.
Yeah.
And so as social media grows, I think it's becoming more of like the town square. So I understand that there's like the very fine line, but I just can't help but think how much misinformation killed people during COVID. For example, that people believe that the vaccine was going to kill them, or the vaccine is going to give them a terrible side effect. They're going to grow a third arm or something like that. It hurts me as an American, somebody that cares about people, to think that so many people could have been saved if they, I don't know, didn't listen to their crazy uncle on Facebook or something.
Speaking of vaccines, you saw what RFK just did?
Yeah, the canceling of the contracts for mRNA.
$500 million contract.
That really infuriated me.
Really?
Yeah, because mRNA vaccines are like the next major medical breakthrough. I mean, they're already a tremendous medical breakthrough, but they can do so much, and it's such a fascinating thing when you dig into it. mRNA vaccines essentially make your body the factory to fight viruses, and so just a remarkable development in medicine, and a lot of scientists were hoping to use the mRNA technology to tackle things like pancreatic cancer, melanoma, lung cancer, and there's a lot of promising research, and then just like that research is halted, at least for now, and maybe done forever, depending on what happens in the future, what happens in 2028. So I don't know, like I just hope that MAGA understands that they get sick too. They're not immortal.
Yeah.
And so if they or a loved one gets pancreatic cancer, I'm sure that they would want the next best thing in medicine. And now, our developments there have been damaged.
Yeah, I'd love to see that press conference and see where he was coming from and why he canceled it.
And isn't it fucking funny that RFK Jr. is the guy lecturing us on health? I mean, the dude is the weirdest guy, I think, in politics right now. I mean, the stories about him planting a bear carcass in Central Park, cutting off a whale head and bringing it in his car back home. I mean, and might I add, when he was asked about allegations against himself, sexual assault allegations, he said, "I'm no church boy." Like, it's a crazy way to respond to some allegations.
That is an interesting response.
I would recommend people look it up. But point is that this guy who has no health degree is trying to say that mRNA vaccines are not they're not effective, and we have to go back to the technology for vaccines we've been using for the past 100 years. Medicine should move forward. We shouldn't be moving backward. And unfortunately, with the canceling of the mRNA contracts, the canceling of cancer funding research, children's cancer funding research as well has been cut. It's like any American, I think, would be against that.
Yeah. He did. Didn't he get food dyes banned or something? At least.
Yeah, I mean they're tackling a number of different food dyes, and if you want to do that, great. I don't think that the health problems in the United States are caused by food dyes. A lot of these food dyes exist in Europe just under different names. I think one of the big ones people talk about is red dye 40.
Right.
It's just in a different name in Europe, and they still use it in
Oh,
a
really?
lot of their food. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So I don't think that's the source of people's problems. I think I totally love the idea of more exercise and eating clean and eating whole foods for people and focusing on their health. But, taking the dye out of Cheetos is not going to solve America's health problems. So it's like, whatever. If you want to do it, great. But I'm more interested in like the research surrounding cancer and stuff like that.
Yeah, they're trying to get Coca-Cola to use cane sugar, I think.
Yeah, it's like, like what are we like? That's just it's so ridiculous. It's such a small thing to focus on when there are so many bigger issues in health. AIDS is still impacting Africa more than ever, especially because USAID has been cut. Cancer is the #1 killer in the United States when it comes to diseases. There's just so many, and there's so many amazing developments in science, so many cures that we can come up with for a lot of these things that we thought we'd never cure. And now, like what, RFK is focused on food dyes? It's just drives me nuts, man.
The stats on cancer are super concerning.
Yeah.
And I know people in their 20s getting it now.
Dude, it's heartbreaking. One of the main cancers that is going up, especially for young people, is colorectal. And they believe they don't have a specific reason as to why it's going up in young people. They think it's because of diets or being exposed to certain chemicals in the air and the water. Not necessarily like for the general public, but if you live near like an oil rig, for example, you're more likely to get cancer. But it's super concerning. But it's very dull talking about the increased cancer rates. But I've actually researched this for some reason recently. There's really amazing developments aside from mRNA. They're looking at AI, for example, that can look at not mRNA vaccines. Aside from that, they're using AI to look at MRI scans.
Yeah.
And to the human eye, it can be really difficult to see a tumor that's forming because the images are just not that clear. Whereas they're using AI now to identify these things, and it has a higher rate of identification than humans.
That's awesome.
So you can catch it way earlier, and a lot of the worst cancers like pancreatic, colon, things like that are only caught in stage 3 or stage 4. Now we're looking with AI, we can do it in like stage 1, and then if you do it in stage 1, you have like a 97% 5-year survival rate. They're also looking at 3D printing organs. Really? Yeah. So if you have a cancer-infected organ, they're looking at, it's only on a very small scale right now. I think they've done ears in people, and it's obviously takes a lot of work because of organ rejection is still very much a thing and in the United States, and it's always going to be. But they're looking at like 3D printing organs, livers, lungs to, if you have one that's affected by cancer, you can get a transplant. That's still like 30 years down the line, but cool nonetheless,
How do you feel about just overall the healthcare system as is today?
I think it sucks.
Okay. So we agree on that.
Yeah, I think it's trash. The rate of uninsured in the United States, the rate of people who are underinsured, which is different than uninsured, of course, is brutal. And it makes me, I think so often about the families who a loved one gets cancer, horrible disease that we're talking about, and they're sitting at the hospital bed of their loved one, and they're thinking, their first thought is, how can I make sure my loved one gets better? Their first thought is, can I even pay for this? Can I afford for them to get better? And I think in the wealthiest country in the world, that's a travesty.
Agreed.
You should, if you get cancer, you shouldn't be going bankrupt. You shouldn't be going poor. You shouldn't be going hungry. You should be able to get that treatment. And it's one of the most, I think, depressing parts of politics right now that gets some conversation, but not enough.
Yeah. Well, Trump cut a lot of Medicaid, right?
Yeah, he cut a lot of Medicaid, a lot of Medicare, cut food stamps. And so there are estimates, depending on the program, but broadly, that around 16 million people, because of his big, beautiful bill, he calls it, are going to lose their health care.
Wow.
16 million. I mean, these, and the people on Medicaid and Medicare, these are hardworking folks. These are low-income Americans.
Yeah.
They're not making millions. They're not making billions like Trump's buddies. These are hardworking folks who are working blue-collar jobs. They might be out of work because of their sickness, whatever it might be. And because of Trump, because he wants to give some tax cuts to his wealthy friends, he says, well, fuck you. You don't get health care. You don't get the care that you previously needed. These programs have saved lives, and Trump just like that. 16 million people gone. It's so sad.
Something needs to change because even myself and we're pretty wealthy. Like I don't even want to get an ambulance. It's like $5,000.
I can't tell you how many stories I've heard of people my age who get into an accident or have like a stupid drunk fight or something like that, and they specifically, even in their drunk state, say no ambulance because it's going to cost like 10 grand.
Even while they're drunk.
Even when they're drunk, they know they're locked in.
That's nuts, dude.
Yeah, so it's terrible.
That's the state where we're at. What do you think a good alternative would be?
I mean, I'm not like in line with Bernie Sanders.
Yeah.
I think Bernie is really passionate, has like some decent ideas that we can work on. But when it comes to healthcare, I'm not like a Medicare for all guy. I wouldn't be opposed to a system like that in the future if we can get there. I like Pete Buttigieg's plan from 2020. He said his plan was a Medicare for all who want it, which is you can keep your private insurance if you want to pay for that's perfectly fine, no problem. But there should be a government option that anybody can sign up for, regardless of your wealth. And if you want to put like a wealth cap, so like a millionaire can't sign up for it, that's perfectly fine. I have no problem with that.
Yeah.
But I think there should 100% be a program of which, regardless of income status, regardless of where you are, regardless of who you are, can sign up for. And if you get into an accident, you have a terrible disease, you can go to the hospital, not worry.
Respect. You tweeted out Trump doesn't care about stopping crime.
No, he doesn't. Of course not. Fuck no. This guy, I mean, first of all, he's a convicted felon. Trump himself, I mean, it's so funny. Republicans tell us that he cares about stopping crime when he himself is a convicted felon. But nonetheless, no, he doesn't care about stopping crime. He's firing FBI agents. He's firing attorneys in the Department of Justice. He's proposing $500 million in cuts to the FBI. They just had a meeting at the White House about firing all these different FBI agents. And he pardoned all the January 6th rioters, insurrectionists. It's like that is the opposite of fighting crime. That's putting more criminals back on the street who many of them have reoffended. A lot of them have been shot by police for reoffending. A lot of them have been caught in certain crimes, pretty horrible crimes.
Yeah.
So, I would argue that Trump is pro-crime.
I know near the end of Biden's term, he was getting a lot of heat for the crime stats. I'd be curious if Trump's stats were close to his. Like, do you know off the top of your head?
In terms of pardons or?
The crime stats, like number of arrests and violent crimes.
Oh, I see. Yeah, I mean, if you look at the trend, I honestly think that for the most part, crime taking place in the country is not really the president. The president doesn't really control that.
You don't think they have a lot of control over that?
No, I mean, they can't really reach into like New York City where we are, for example, right now and stop crime. They would have to pass policy through Congress that changed the way policing took place in the United States.
Makes sense, yeah.
But if you look at Biden's term, crime spiked in 2020 because of COVID and things like that, and I still wouldn't really blame that on Donald Trump. I mean, at least the crime going up. COVID is a different conversation.
Yeah.
But then after that, in 2021, they were still relatively high, but they were coming down, and then 2022 went down, 23, 24, it all just kind of decreased gradually because of that spike. But, I mean, I don't know. If a conservative has a problem with the crime stats under Biden, I would love to hear their perspective on that because I don't know where they're coming from.
Well, I hear the argument in major cities. I don't know about New York City, but I've heard in LA, like you can't walk around with a watch at certain hours of the day. Have you heard that?
Interesting. I mean,
on Melrose.
I mean, I'm not super familiar with LA. I've been there like twice, so can't really speak to the.
Do you walk in the streets of New York late night?
Yeah.
And no problem?
Yeah. I mean, I think that every city has its places.
Right.
You know, like I'm sure if you walked in LA on, I forget the main road.
Melrose.
Is it Melrose with all the stores?
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm sure if there's like some streets in LA that you can walk on in the middle of the night and you'd be fine, right? You could probably walk around the hills and be fine. Just like in New York City, you can walk around Soho for the most part in the middle of the night. I woun't recommend it. I'm not saying people do that, but you'd probably be fine. But I also don't think I don't really think that's like a political thing. I think cities are hard to run, and even if you put a Republican in here, it wouldn't necessarily mean that crime's going to come down. And I think that there can be unintended consequences when you really try to clamp down on crime. We saw it in the 1990s, early 2000s, where we had this national movement of clamping down on crime, and then a lot of Black Americans got incarcerated, and they were incarcerated on dumb shit for 20 years, like marijuana possession.
Was that the war on drugs?
Yeah, it was. Well, I mean, it was kind of around that era, kind of continuation of the war on drugs. And yeah, like I think we just have to be. It's frustrating when somebody I disagree with says that there's a one-stop solution to law enforcement, which it's just not. It's a complex, multifaceted issue, which requires obviously tough laws, prosecuting people who break them, but also an understanding that life is complicated.
Yeah.
And somebody who shoplifts like a can of soup because their family is hungry, like, should they really go to prison, or should maybe there be another solution there,
Yeah, I guess each city has their own challenges, right?
Yeah, I think the challenges in New York City are vastly different than that of LA, for example.
Shout out to today's sponsor, Quince. As the weather cools, I'm swapping in the pieces that actually gets the job done, that are warm, durable, and built to last. Quince delivers every time with wardrobe staples that'll carry you through the season. They have fall staples that you'll actually want to wear, like the 100% Mongolian cashmere for just $60. They also got classic fit denim and real leather and wool outerwear that looks sharp and holds up. By partnering directly with ethical factories and top artisans, Quince cuts out the middleman to deliver premium quality at half the cost of similar brands. They've really become a go-to across the board. You guys know how I love linen and how I've talked about it on previous episodes. I picked up some linen pants and they feel incredible. The quality is definitely noticeable compared to other brands. Layer up this fall with pieces that feel as good as they look. Go to quince.com/DSH for free shipping on your order and 365-day returns. They're also available in Canada too.
And it's just, cities are hard. It's a lot of people in a small space.
Yeah.
And it's a lot of people, in New York City, for example, who, a lot of people who live here, whether it be in Manhattan or some of the other boroughs, they're not millionaires, they're just struggling to get by. And, there are kids who do stupid things, and we don't want them going to jail for the rest of their lives unless they do, obviously, something very heinous. But
right.
It's just tough.
You on this Mamdani wave?
I have a lot of disagreements.
Really?
With Mamdani. Yeah, okay. I do. I mean, I would classify myself as a liberal, as a Democrat.
Yeah.
There are some farther left people out there who wouldn't even identify as Democrats. And those are the folks who kind of align with Mamdani. I think he's incredibly charismatic. He has revolutionized the way to campaign.
Yep. Facts. Can't deny that.
100%. And I commend him very much so. And when it comes to the primary the election in November, I'm going to vote for him.
Really?
I mean, he's a Democratic nominee. I think the party should unite around him. If he won, he won. The people spoke in New York City. So I'm going to vote for him. But I disagree. I think some of his proposals lack a solid foundation, which is one of the proposals he has. I think it's surrounding his grocery store policy, or just policies generally, how to raise funds. He wants to change a tax that applies to the entire state of New York, not the city of New York, which obviously he can't do as mayor. Yeah. And he's like, I'm going to work with the governor of New York to get that done. It's like, I just think reaching,
overreach a bit.
Yeah, it's a little like reaching above your weight as mayor and saying that one of my key proposals is backed by the power of somebody else. I don't know if that's necessarily a winning policy, but
I haven't heard of anyone trying to do that as a mayor.
I'm like, I don't mind unique approaches, and if he can get it done, then good for him. But I just disagree with some things here.
Yeah. What's his biggest, disagreement you have with him?
I think it has to be the grocery store thing.
Oh, the grocery thing.
The city funded grocery stores in each 5 borough.
Yeah.
I really love the idea. I love SNAP, which is the food stamps for people who are hungry. I love that as a federal program. I don't know if city funded grocery stores are the solution there. I think that can lead to unintended consequences, a lot of problems of their own. Whereas in my view, a more comprehensive approach might be food stamps through the federal government, or a different program for the city specific that there already exist, but maybe expanding those programs, funding them better than we are right now. I don't know. It just seems a little weird to me.
So how would that store even operate? You just walk in and you have a budget?
I don't think he's been, and look, I don't follow New York City politics as much as I do national. So maybe he's been more clear on this than I've seen. So, I could just be totally off. But I don't think he's ever really, from my understanding, gone into depth about how it would actually work. He's talked about how it's funded, and how, where they would open it in the different boroughs. But I've never really seen him say, like, okay, you go in, you take a few things, and you leave, and you don't have to pay.
Right.
And how do you stop people from, like, abusing that system? I don't know.
And that's where I feel like there's a lot of distrust in politics. A lot of people talk this big game, big ideas, and then very few of them. I can't even think of anyone that delivers on most of their ideas.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough. And I think that can be both the fault of the politician, but also not their fault. If this applies to Trump and Biden, if they promise something, they do have to work with Congress to get it done, and True. Congress is a tough body to negotiate with. But yeah, I mean, there are a lot of politicians who break their promises. We were just talking about Trump, with all these promises that he could address, like the Epstein files. He could do that right now. He's just choosing not to. And I think for a lot of people, a lot of young voters, especially young men who just turned 18 and voted for Donald Trump, this is a little bit of a wake-up moment that, Trump and politics isn't as black and white as people make it seem, and politicians you might trust, like Trump, like they did, are going to let them down pretty consistently.
You mentioned Congress. How do you feel about them operating like with all this donor money? Like, you know what I mean? Like, do you feel like they're operating in good nature for the most part?
No. I mean,
So we agree on that too.
yeah, no, 100%. No, I mean, there are so many different outside groups who have the ear of politicians. And I think there are great politicians out there who aren't subjected or don't have to think about outside groups. And there are like a lot of progressive Democrats who don't take any PAC money. And I think that's great. But there are a lot of Republicans especially who get PACs from, MAGA groups or APAC or a lot of these different lobbying groups who absolutely influence their vote, absolutely influence what they say publicly. And I don't, I'm more interested in politics than the average person. I'd say you are too.
Yeah.
So there's some intricacies to Congress that we understand, but for your average person who doesn't really care about politics, they're focused on their family, their job, how do you trust Congress?
Right.
How do you look at them positively if, you see these outside groups basically having identical messaging to them? It's how do you trust that?
Do you think the fix would be to stop PAC money?
Yeah, I mean, I think Citizens United, that Supreme Court case that essentially claimed that businesses have free speech. They're like their entities, so they have free speech, meaning that they can just pour as much money as they want into politics. That was probably one of the worst decisions in Supreme Court history. I think if that got overturned, that'd solve a lot of the problems. But also, just taking the big money groups. Put it this way, if I could have a world where we have them or don't have them, and that's having them is obviously a benefit for Democrats too, I would choose not having them.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of them, man.
No, I mean, and you're seeing a lot of objection now, especially with AIPAC. A lot of people. And that's a bipartisan issue. Both Democrats and Republicans are furious with groups like AIPAC, and they want their politicians, their reps, their senators to stop taking money. And a lot of them are not. They're not listening to their constituents.
I thought Ted Cruz got demolished by Tucker.
I hate Tucker. I hate both of them.
Oh, you do?
I hate
Why
both
do you hate
of them.
Tucker?
Because he's a pretty huge conspiracy theorist, and he's pushed some white replacement theory talking points on his show, basically alleging that immigrants are replacing white people, and I think that's just the stupidest shit I've ever heard. But yeah, I agree. Tucker, and pains me to say because I hate Tucker, but he eviscerated Ted Cruz.
Yeah,
I mean, that was
rough.
That was brutal. I think Ted Cruz went in thinking that it would be kind of like a puff piece,
a softball.
Yeah, right. And then Tucker just hit him with that, and he had no response. And you're seeing a lot of politicians, both left and right, getting confronted on this stuff, and they don't really have an answer.
There's a major fight right now. I don't know how much you use Twitter, but Candace and Nick Fuentes, they've been going at it.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen that a little bit. I know that Nick and Tucker were going at it for a little bit.
Yeah.
Can you explain what's going on with Candace?
So yeah, Nick and Tucker, I think, were going at it first, and then Nick went on Candace, and she confronted him. What did she ask him that got him pissed? Oh, she just confronted his past, I guess, and wasn't focused on any current events, which Nick thought the show would be about the war and stuff. So he saw it as a gotcha interview.
Okay.
And then they started beefing. Now it's gotten to the point where Nick won't even talk to Candace unless she sets up a debate with Nick and Charlie Kirk.
So he wants a 2v2?
No.
Or no, he wants to debate Charlie Kirk.
Yeah.
Oh,
Nick's been
I
wanting
see.
to debate Charlie for years, and Charlie won't do it.
Why won't he do it?
Just doesn't want to platform him. He's too controversial.
Okay. But
Yeah.
Charlie Kirk he doesn't think he's controversial.
You've debated Charlie, right?
No, I've actually never debated
you
Charlie.
haven't?
No, I know people who have, but I've
Okay.
never debated Charlie Kirk. I would love to.
I'd love to see that.
I think that dude is such a loser. I just completely honest. I think he's such a loser. I think his political views suck. His debating strategy is so disingenuous. I forget who it was, but somebody was breaking this down on social media that essentially Charlie Kirk has one line of arguing, and he's perfected it. So if you bring up a topic, he'll go down this line of arguing, and he's not doing that with the intention of having a productive dialogue that maybe he can change his mind,
Right.
or you can change your mind, or whatever it be. It's like gotcha moments, and you see these clips of him at these college campuses. It's of course it's not productive. He just wants clips for social media, and I think people like Charlie Kirk are genuinely so bad for American politics, American society. And it's not because I disagree with Kirk. Plenty of people I disagree with you on things.
Yep.
And we're having a good conversation. But Charlie is just it's rage bait, it's disingenuous, it's clip farming basically.
Yep.
And I think that's a terrible way to operate in politics.
Would you say yourself, to a certain degree, you're kind of in that when you're doing TikTok debates, though?
Oh, 100%. I mean, that's why I haven't really done TikTok debates all that much anymore. I was doing them a lot before the election. But after the election, I kind of just sat with it. I'm like, is this really changing anybody's mind? Or is this, is this just gotcha moments or trying to make a certain amount of money or whatever it might be? It's just like, I got into politics on a local level before I even started social media because I care and I want to bring about change, and that applies to every American regardless of political affiliation. And I really felt like these debates that have started to plague social media, they don't change anything. They just further polarize us.
That's true.
And, you get a fun clip, you get million view clips or whatever, but I don't know. I'm more focused on the change.
It's a good topic because as someone that moderates debates, I don't want it to get into a circus. I don't want it to be a circus show.
Yeah.
I want it to be productive. I want both sides to voice their opinions, and I want the audience to decide how they feel.
No, and that's the way I think debates should be. But the unfortunate reality of social media, you know this, I know this, anybody that makes content knows this, is that things like that, they don't do as well.
Not nearly as well.
Not nearly
so you got to
as well.
sprinkle in some sound bites.
I mean, if you want it to be like successful and get views, then you got to have some of those moments where it's like, Charlie Kirk destroyed or X, Y, and Z destroyed. But does that actually help society? Does it convince anybody? I don't think so.
Yeah. Did you watch Charlie at Cambridge? His debates
I
there?
did. I think he got destroyed, personally. I think. Did you watch it at all?
Yeah. Well, now you can actually, it's kind of cool. You could throw in debates into like ChatGPT and I'll ask for like a grading system.
No way.
Yeah. So I threw that one in there. It said he lost because that was unedited. And I feel like those guys did their research that he was debating against.
Yeah. There was one of the girls who debated him. I talked to her very briefly on TikTok DM because she followed me. I followed her back. We became mutuals. And she was just talking about the experience and how the consensus among them was that they obviously won. Mm-hmm. And Charlie, I think he got pretty badly embarrassed. Not that he didn't know. He knows things. He's not dumb. He's not a dummy. But these guys not kids. That sounds pejorative. These debaters, really well informed on the minute details as well, which I thought was impressive.
Yeah, I was impressed because they are young, 18,
they're
19, 20 years old.
Kids, right?
I was impressed. Did you see the Mehdi Hassan debate on Jubilee? What do you think of that one?
I did. Yeah, Surrounded is an interesting one. I'd love to go on Surrounded.
I'll set that up for you.
I would love to do 1v20.
Would you do a 1v20 Republican, or what would you want to do?
Whatever. I do 1v20 MAGA, Republican, whatever it might be, because they just look fun. Yeah. But I also think that does fall in the category of unproductive, but whatever, it's fine. The Mehdi Hassan debate was like so eye-opening and I think depressing. When I was watching a lot of these people come up and openly acknowledge that they're fascists, or essentially making excuses for Hitler, that I think spells a broader problem in American politics with the kind of extremism that has come about, especially on the right. And I think like there are crazy people on the left, 100%, but with a more acceptance of like Hitler, the Nazis in World War II, of fascism generally, of the idea that government should, stop gay people from marrying or stop people from engaging in certain economic activity if they want to, or voicing their opinions on certain issues. That to me is really scary.
Yeah, I will say that was the most impressed I've seen a Democrat debate ever. I think.
Oh, really?
I think he swept the floor.
I think he swept the floor with them too. It wasn't
close.
No, I mean,
and shout out to him, man.
I love Mehdi Hassan.
I didn't know who he was before that video.
Oh, really?
But yeah, I was super impressed. I started watching him more. Shout out to Mehdi, man.
He used to have a show on MSNBC, and now he has, I think it's Zetio, is his independent media company, and that's apparently incredibly successful. I think they just hit like 1 million subscribers or something. Yeah, so really, they're doing great. And Mehdi Hassan is really smart. He even released this book that I thought was great. I read it. It's like How to Win Any Debate.
Really?
So he's very skilled.
I need to read that book.
Yeah, it's fantastic. And yeah, I think the problem that these far right people fall into, these fascists, openly proclaimed fascists, is that their arguments just crumble under scrutiny. Just a little bit of pushback, and you find that the guy who's advocating for more government intervention on individual liberties, or sympathizing with awful dictators throughout history, you're not going to get anywhere with that.
It's a tough argument because when you look at history, they've all failed, right?
All failed, and it's not even been like close to succeeding. It's all just been
catastrophic failures.
Yeah, and I think the problem that they have to grapple with is like, okay, great, you have a fascist. Would you What happens if in this dictatorship one day a left-wing leader comes to power? Would you be okay with that? And it's obviously like they wouldn't be.
Yeah, they're biased.
Yeah, right. So
Why did Roger Stone block you?
yeah, fuck that guy. Fuck Roger Stone. That guy is such a weasel. Criminal, indicted so many different times, had to get pardoned by Donald Trump. Creepy. A guy. He's just a creepy dude. You see him. He's a weird-looking guy. I don't know why he blocked me. I just found one day that he blocked me on social media.
Interesting.
I'm like,
did you make a video about him or a tweet?
I mean, maybe a tweet, but not that I recall.
Okay.
There's a lot of Republicans who have me blocked. The current CIA director has me blocked.
What?
Yes, on Twitter.
Current CIA director?
Yeah, I think it's John Ratcliffe.
I don't know if that should be allowed if they're current.
It's not allowed. It's not. That's what I'm saying. It's not allowed. I believe it's actually his professional account as well. It's not his personal. They can block me in the personal. But the CIA director, I'm like, what did I do to you? First of all, you're the CIA director. I want to follow you. I want to, regardless if you're in the Trump administration, I want to know what the CIA is up to.
That's surprising because to me, you're such a nice dude. Like even when you're debating, you're not really like yelling at people.
I appreciate that. I don't know. A lot of Republicans very much dislike me, and I don't care about that.
Was it a specific stance you took? Then you started noticing that, or was it just overall? I guess.
I think it's just overall. I think I can be very.
Passionate.
I think I can be very passionate.
Well, you were defending Biden till the end, so could have been that.
I still defend Biden. I'd still right now.
Even with stage 5, you're gonna.
I would still defend Biden right now, 100%.
Who has better cognitive abilities right now, Biden or Trump?
Biden.
Stop it.
Biden. Biden.
Stop it.
Dude, Trump the other day said. I mean, there's so many different examples. The other day he said he was going to Russia to meet Putin. They're meeting in Alaska. They're meeting in Anchorage. He said twice at this press conference that he's doing that. He has all these different weird moments. Like before the election, he talked about Hannibal Lecter being a real person. What? If Biden did that, if Biden did any of these things, talked about Hannibal Lecter being real, or I don't know if you saw that weird rant that Trump went on about boats, sharks, batteries.
Oh, yeah, I saw it.
If Biden did any of those things, Republicans would lose their minds.
Well, to be fair, Biden wasn't giving as many press conferences.
No, he wasn't. I mean, and a lot of people say it's because of his mental ability. I think it's just a different way of communicating with the American people now, that being like social media. He did a lot of
could
podcasts.
Be both.
It could be both, right? Whatever you want to call it. I think he did a lot of podcasts. A lot of podcasts.
Trump did, yeah.
And no, I think Trump, like when you hear him speak, he's all over the place. He cannot keep a thought straight. When he does speak, he rambles for hours, and he's completely out of the loop. Like his own team seems to be keeping him out of the loop. He's been asked about tariffs recently, and a reporter, when he was on the tarmac of this airport, was asking, hey, are the tariffs going to go into effect in August? And he had no idea. He was like, what tariffs?
Wow.
And his Treasury Secretary next to him had to correct him. It's like, what? How does the President of the United States, this is his main policy, main economic policy, how does he not know this?
Yeah.
But I don't know. I know people will disagree with me on that. I just think Trump is totally gone.
I mean, if we're being honest, Trump's pushing, 80 now?
He's 79.
79. Yeah. Doesn't have the best diet from what I've heard. Drinking a lot of Cokes. And I heard he barely drinks water. I saw some interview where the guy was like, I've never seen Trump drink water.
Oh, that's good. Great. Yeah, and by the way, just to circle back to our original conversation, this is the administration talking to us about health. The guy who doesn't drink water. That's crazy.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
My whole thing with health is why am I going to listen to the government for health advice? I'm going to listen to the best doctors and the best wellness coaches.
Exactly. That's also the Democratic Party's position.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I don't think that you should, if Joe Biden gets into office and he says, oh, you should do X, Y, and Z for your health. I think he probably is basing that recommendation off of his advisors and people who know more than him.
Yeah.
But I would recommend you talk to your doctor, talk to a medical professional. Please don't listen to people like RFK. Please listen to people with medical degrees. The amount of studying, work, and things that went into them becoming who they are is really hard to fathom for your person who doesn't work in the medical field. But these people know what they're talking about. So listen to your doctor. Don't listen to a politician. That's perfectly fine with me.
So do you think there was any health cover-up, though, with Biden's health, or no?
I mean, if there was, then they did a really bad job, at least when it comes to me, because I met Biden twice.
Yeah.
And when I met him, there was never any restrictions. I interviewed him. They didn't know the questions beforehand. They let me ask whatever. I met him in the Oval Office. We got to chat. The whole interaction's on video. I posted on social media. And there were times where I didn't have one-on-one meetings, but I saw him speak, or he came into a White House meeting that we were at and spoke to us. So there was never any restrictions when we would meet him. I just think that a lot of the coverage around Biden's mental ability is really selective clips on social media. I think if you follow somebody around with a camera 24/7, they're bound to slip up, and if you can cut them in a way that makes them look like they're stupid.
I mean,
or
I'm
whatever.
young and I slip up on the podcast all the time.
Totally,
Yeah, it's
right?
just
I do the
natural.
exact same thing. And so, do I think Biden got older? 100%.
Yeah.
He certainly aged during his term, but do I think that he's like this dementia-ridden patient who has no idea what's... No, not at all.
I've seen old videos of Biden, like when he was in his 30s, 40s, and he was a beast.
He
the
was
way he
killer.
talked.
Yeah, he was killer. And I don't think I would deny, I'm a big Biden defender. I would not deny that obviously the Biden of 20 years ago is different than the Biden of today, but that's aging. And I think, a lot of his advisors, there's nobody that was in Biden's inner circle that came out and said, yeah, I was worried about the president.
Yeah.
They were all, these are folks who had worked with Biden before, hadn't worked with Biden before. And they were all like, he was making decisions in a sharp way. And I think public persona is different than private, obviously, but I just personally didn't have any major concerns with that.
What would it take for you to vote right in 2028?
Oh, dude. Oh, what would it take to vote right?
What candidate you liking on the right? You like Vance?
No, I think Vance sucks. I think that guy's like a genuine loser. I think he's just managed. He's a smart guy. I mean, he's smart. He's very, very well educated, Yale grad.
Well networked, pro crypto, which I like.
Well networked. He's backed by Peter Thiel.
Palantir, right?
Yeah, and Palantir. So I'm sure he'll probably do well and have a bunch of money to run a campaign. But I think he's just as bad as Donald Trump, and he's smarter than Donald Trump. I think he could be more dangerous. But candidate on the right.
It's really just Vance. I feel like maybe Tulsi, maybe Trump Jr.
God, yeah, I wouldn't vote for any of those people. I like if like a Mark Cuban, for example, ran for the Republican side, which I don't think he would, but if he did hypothetically, and the person on the left was somebody that I just vehemently disagree with, I'd vote for Mark Cuban.
I like Cuban too.
I think he's cool.
Yeah.
I think he's really smart. I think he's business oriented and would probably need to brush up on foreign policy a little bit. That's a major part of the presidency, but I think he'd be running for the presidency in good faith, you know.
I'll say this for the first time on air, but I might vote left in 28, dude.
Wow, for exclusive.
It's not out of the question.
Wow,
it wouldn't be Newsom though. I know you like Newsom. I don't.
You wouldn't vote for Newsom.
No.
Who would you vote for?
I'd have to see who it is by then, but like I still feel like Vance has a lot to prove. I feel like Trump Jr. has a lot to prove. Tulsi has some stuff to prove still. So I don't know. Like it's open for me. It's 50-50.
Okay. Is there any Democrat that you've seen publicly recently that you've been impressed by, or no?
Recently, not really. I know they're saying AOC, they're saying Bernie, but Bernie's too old now.
Bernie's like 86 right now.
Yeah, he's way too old.
I
know Newsom's the front runner and AOC's in second, I think, on Polymarket.
Yeah, on Polymarket there. I think the top 3 or 4. What about Pete Buttigieg? Do you like Pete?
I like him the most out of all those names.
Yeah. I like Pete a lot.
Yeah.
I just met with Pete recently, and you can disagree with him, but he is so smart. He speaks like 11 languages, which is a fun fact about Pete. Yeah, like 11 different languages. Insane. And he plays a bunch of different instruments. This guy is just really wicked smart. And he's a veteran, served in Afghanistan.
Love that.
Yeah.
And he debates, which I like. I like when people on the left aren't afraid to debate people.
Exactly. I think we need somebody like that in 2028. Somebody that goes into Republican areas and is willing to have those conversations. He does that all the time. He goes on Fox News. He goes on. You saw him on the Flagrant podcast with Andrew Schultz.
Yeah, I think I saw that one.
Yeah, that's a more right-leaning show.
These days, yeah. Andrew went to a lot of podcasters went right last election, but a lot of them are starting to.
Yeah, so like
it.
you're obviously in the podcast space.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you have connections here. Do you think that swing to the right is a temporary thing and it kind of just ebbs and flows with the country?
It's looking like it's flowing more towards the center right now.
Wow.
Because a lot of people are divided on the Epstein stuff, the tariff stuff. Trump's losing some podcasts for sure. Even Rogan, honestly, when he had Kash Patel on, that interview was weird. Yeah. I don't know if you saw that one, but it felt like Kash was hiding something. I don't know.
Yeah, well, Kash, I mean, that's a totally, a separate conversation for another day. Kash, I despise. I
like him?
I don't like Kash Patel at all. I think he's very partisan, which I think is. We certainly don't need that at the FBI. But yeah, no, Joe Rogan has been very critical of Trump recently with the Epstein files. Schultz has been critical. Who are the other major
Theo Vaughn's
guys?
been he's been having on people from Palestine. Schultz has been critical. It might swing, dude. I know the right dominated the pod scene in 24, but you guys have some talented young guys on the YouTube charts now, like Adam Mockler.
Love Mockler. That's my guy.
Who's the guy I just had on that you mentioned earlier? I forget. But
Keith Edwards.
Yeah, Keith Edwards.
Love Keith.
So you guys are coming in.
Yeah, we have some very talented content creators on the left. The issue right now, and I've said this publicly before, the issue right now with the Democratic Party and content creators is that the Republican Party is still so supportive of their content creators, their right-wing guys.
Yep.
And not the party, I should say, but PACs will fund them. Like all of these Charlie Kirk guys, they just get millions upon millions of dollars to do what they do. And they don't have to worry about the costs.
Making money on the event.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. All they have to do is, how can I win? How can we get my party to win? That's all they have to focus on. And the Democrats right now, speaking from somebody who's very much in this, there's no fun. People think we're paid by the DNC. I saw you with the older millennial say I was paid by the DNC. I saw that clip.
Okay. Bryce Hall exposed you, though, for that, didn't he?
First of all, that Bryce Hall beef was so funny. No, there's, and I mean this sincerely, there's we do not get money to do this.
Not directly.
Indirectly, directly, we don't get money.
But didn't your LLC get a check?
I mean, I've done consulting, so like...
Yeah. So I guess that's what it was.
Yeah, it was consulting. And like I've worked with groups. I worked with Planned Parenthood, for example, to make videos. And so whenever there's a collaboration on a certain cause or a certain group, it's very clear. I make it clear that I'm working with somebody. Right. And there are like certain issues I've done collaborations with Twitter, TikTok, and whatnot about issues
we got to pay the bills. No, I get that part.
Yeah.
I have sponsors and stuff too.
Yeah, exactly. But you know, for the most part, if you want to make money in political content, you go to the right. The left, really, we do not get a ton of PAC funding. We don't get donors coming in. We don't have sponsors or anything like that.
Wow.
It's very, the Republicans are willing to do it.
Yeah, dude, because I film at all of Charlie's events on Media Row, and it's thousands and thousands of people. I can't find an event like that on the left where I could set up my podcast, interview like 20 amazing people, dude.
Yeah, and we need it.
You guys need that, because I would go.
Exactly.
And I would give you guys a lot of eyeballs.
Yes,
you know, because I'm in the middle. So, like, you guys should figure that out for sure.
100%.
Like, what's the setup at the DNC? Can you even film pods there?
Yeah, I mean, I was at the DNC over in 2024 in Chicago, and it was a lot of fun. But there wasn't really it was really supportive for content creators they invited. Mm-hmm. So for myself, my friend Chris, Adam Mockler, who was there, like all of us, they were great. They really helped us create what we wanted to create, which was so encouraging for the future. But in terms of opposition, or even not even opposition, like center people like yourself, I don't think there was any real opportunity for someone like yourself to come in.
No Media Row there? No Exhibitor Hall?
There was like there was Media Row, but for cable. Okay. So there was like a CNN.
Yeah, that's old school. People don't watch that as much.
That's the thing. I would have loved to have like a podcast row.
Yeah.
Like
well, if you convince him for the next one, I'll be there.
Hey, if I'm invited back in 2028, which I hope I am.
You definitely will be. I mean, you're like the face of it.
I appreciate you. You're too kind. Then I'll put in a good word. I'm advocating for. One of the things I'm really focused on post-election is getting the party to actually embrace social media. And I'm not like spearheading this effort. That's just been something I've behind the scenes been talking to people about. And that's not just like donor funding for people to make studios and editors and things like that, but also just more of a conversation-based approach to politics where folks like yourself can be part of the tent. I want you part of the tent. I don't want you to be in the center anymore. I want you to come on over with us.
I mean, I grew up left. I grew up in Jersey. Yeah, my mom's right here. She knows.
Can I ask her a question?
Yeah, go ahead.
Are you left leaning or right leaning?
Now she's right, but she can answer. She can answer.
Yes.
You are.
Right now, yeah, I'm right.
And did you vote for? Do you mind me asking if you voted for Trump?
I did vote this year.
And you voted for Trump?
But we grew up and voted. You voted left almost every time growing up, right?
Did you vote for Biden in 2020? And you voted. So what made you change? If you're okay with sharing.
Oh, I think one of the things you mentioned, the whole this whole presidential campaign stuff. I watch a lot of videos. I watch a lot of the whatever. I think pretty much the social media created this more for me to believe the Republican will do a better job.
I guess she got access to different information, is what she's saying.
I access a lot of different information, but mostly the social media.
Not the mainstream.
Yes, not the mainstream.
Interesting. And do you think so who was your like main source of information when you were for the election?
I watched a lot of the big guys.
Rogan.
Podcasters?
The Rogan, the Theo Vaughn.
Wow.
Tom Bilyeu used to watch.
Tom Bilyeu was the early days.
Yeah.
But those are mostly for health purposes.
Sure.
Not so much for politics and stuff.
Do you still support Trump? Like, do you regret your vote at all, or are you?
I'm not at the stage. I'm more at the Sean stage. It's kind of like has some doubts right now.
Sure.
Yeah.
But it's not like the Democrat. There's still things that I need to be
convinced on.
Yeah.
Do you think it's possible for you to vote blue in 2028?
I'm on similar.
Same thing. You
Yeah.
guys on the same page?
I think it depends on how Trump does. Like, I think if he has a really bad, and I'm pretty objective, I feel like. So if he has a really bad next 3 years, I can see it.
Okay. I'm gonna make it part of my mission to get you to vote. I'm gonna make it part of my mission.
I also want to add, when you say, Gavin Newsom, I recently watched one of the interviews.
Diary of a CEO, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And he's making a big, sort of a commitment or conviction to, beef up his the social media and the podcast. He thinks that's one of the reasons they lost.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I totally agree. I think Newsom's strategy to go not only have his own podcast, but go into these other more right-leaning podcasts is great. And I think even for someone like yourself or anybody who, listens to these guys, like that could definitely convince people to vote blue over the long term. So
100%.
I think, and that's part of the reason why I like Gavin Newsom a lot. I know you're not huge on him, but I just think he's willing to have those conversations, and he's willing to fight fire with fire.
Well, I like that part about him.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just thought he handled the fires bad. I thought when the president of China came in, he cleared all the homeless people out of San Fran. I thought that was weird.
Okay. And do you have like any major specific policy disagreements, or do you just kind of like those kind
That
of
I
things?
can't speak on. I'll be honest. I do not know policy stuff.
That's
Yeah.
okay. I
I'm
mean-
more like a broader kind of guy.
Well, we're a ways away. He hasn't even said he's running for president.
Yeah.
I'm gonna hopefully I get a contact with his team because I'm gonna encourage him to. I really want him to.
I'd love to interview him too. So
That'd be
please
great.
do.
And I think he would genuinely do it.
That'd be awesome.
I think he would.
I did want to ask this. I don't know if it's too personal, but did you ever make up with Dean and Parker?
No.
Wow.
No.
Because it's been some time since that incident.
It's been some time. I had to be very careful with how I speak about this, but no, we never made up. I don't think there's a future where we do.
Whoa.
Yeah, no, I mean, they're. How do I
I
phrase
honestly
this?
hate to hear that, and I'm not even on the left, but I just feel like you guys were really killing it when you were all.
I mean, look, I won't rule out anything, but I would need a pretty big,
apology.
like, I don't know if apology is the right word, like a show of remorse from how they handled it and how they, I would argue, didn't listen to what I had to say regarding everything.
I think from their point of view, they were probably scared of getting attached into it, right? Probably
Yeah.
scared of getting canceled or whatever.
I think it was like, I don't want to, I have I'm principled on this, that I don't want to reveal private conversations.
Yeah. Respect.
But from the conversations we had, and I won't quote them, it was business certainly factored into the decision,
Got it. So they put business before. Okay.
I think that's part of it, and maybe they just have moral disagreement. And like, I'm not here to trash talk them. Another thing I haven't done since then is trash talk them. I haven't gone publicly and said, "Oh, they fuck them. These guys suck," and I won't do that.
Respect.
We're adults, and they have chosen to conduct themselves in one way, which is even after the fact. I don't know how recently it's been, but they have spoken badly about myself or my friends. I won't do that. I won't go to that level. And I we're on the same side. We're fighting for the same thing. So
Yeah.
I'm not gonna attack them. But I'm still pretty disappointed with how they handled that.
Yeah, I thought by now, because that was like almost a year ago, right?
It was actually in March. Of
Oh, in
2025,
March. Okay,
yeah.
so 6 months.
So 6 months.
I thought it'd be hashed out by now, man. Wow.
You think and
You guys were tight too.
we were, yeah. We texted. We did some debates together. Dean is actually signed to my same management team.
Oh wow.
And I was the one recommending him to get signed.
Wow.
Yeah, which is, it is what it is. It is what it is. That's life. You have falling outs and people don't mesh, and it's fine. We're adults again. I think that's important to remember. But I'm being very deliberate. I apologize for
No, you're
like,
good. Respect for taking the high road, though. I actually
yeah, of
really do
course.
respect not airing out dirty laundry. But dude, it's been awesome. Can't wait to see what you do in the future, man. Thanks for coming
man.
on again.
Absolutely, brother. Let's do it.
I hope you guys are enjoying the show. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. It helps the show a lot with the algorithm. Thank you.